Unfortunately, I couldn't even find this meeting until Monday night about 8 o'clock to know when the date was to this meeting. I mean, it wasn't advertised at all. I mean, when did you know about it? That the meeting was changed other than the fourth Tuesday?
We changed that a month ago.
Then why wasn't it on the website a month ago?
It should have been, and it was put in the paper.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get the paper, but I do see the website, and it wasn't on the website till Monday night at 8 o'clock.
The agenda.
No, the fact that the meeting was today, rather than the 26th.
Yeah. Like I said,
And it says, other than advertised otherwise. So, I mean, if you knew it for a month, then I don't know how you expect the public to attend these meetings when you don't advertise them properly where they know. I mean, I tell people the fourth Tuesday of every month. Well, it's Wednesday. So how do they know if it's not the fourth Tuesday of every month unless you advertise it within a reasonable amount of time?
At least.
The proper advertising is through the paper, and that was done apparently, so.
Like I say, I didn't receive that, and I didn't see it on the website until Monday night at 8 o'clock. So other than Mr. Dona pointed it out, I wouldn't have known. So, so he does have good information, you know. You might not think so, but he does. And the other reason I'm here is the fact of, I know last week you had a work session and you brought up the town pit, regarding the town pit and the property line. And you said that the gate was the property line. Well, the gate is not the property line. They're actually a survey map done by Mr. Petrashun back in 2008. And he set two monuments, cast iron reed rods, both sides, 500 feet apart. Has anybody seen those irons to know where that property line is?
Have you been down there to look at them?
I'm not allowed to go over there.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm supposed to. The only person allowed to use that
So
road.
how do you know
are
that's not where
town-
the gate is?
Because it shows on this map that I have in my hand where the gate is. And the gate is within probably 20 feet on your property. So that's my problem. And you said GIS map. We'll stop right there. Well, GIS is not survey quality.
No,
A tax map is not survey quality.
I agree.
This map by Mr. Petrashun, survey quality. I think the landowner who's disturbing the property should be responsible for the cost of a survey to go in and find these corners and mark the line, so the town knows where the line is. Again, I have no skin in this game. It's not gonna bother me whether you do it or not. I'm just trying to benefit the town, because I've already been encroached on. I've complained to the zoning officer. Nothing's been done. I've complained multiple times about the times that he's in there. You know, mining hours are Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock to 5:30.
Is that
On
sign,
Saturday, it's 8 o'clock to 2:30.
is that sign posted up there on the gate?
It's not at the road. Apparently, Mr. LeCount said there's a sign. He had him put down where the road Y's off to your pit.
Oh, so the beginning of his pit is where that sign is.
Apparently, so I don't know
Where
how
the mining-
anybody's supposed to
where the
know other
mining
than the
sign
people
is.
that are going in there. So, I mean, I've complained multiple times, and that sand pile that he's got, the stockpile that's there now, that's over toward the southerly property line, that you said you paced off 75 feet. There's no,
Based off way more than that.
there's no excavating within 100 feet of the property line. No excavating. That means he stumped that whole property, burned the stumps, piled that pile there, within the 100 feet of the property line, with no permit, on a Sunday. That's when he was in there. I called Mr. LeCount and complained. Nothing was done. So, I mean, now it's not a problem with me, it's a problem with you. You're getting encroached on again, same thing. The DEC rules and regulations say the mine should be, you know, staked and marked, and the setback should be very evident. I don't see any of that. So, I mean, I can see it clearly from my property because I don't have any buffer. I can clearly see everything he does. So, I mean, I really think that the messed up part was I brought the right of way up to you because he was gaining sand off your right of way. So you exchanged your right of way, the town paid for it, which I'm confused on that totally because it was his fault. He should have paid for it. The town should have had any money involved in this. And he should have exchanged the right of way, or you should have owned the road, because now there's no maintenance agreement. So now you're back to this point too. Now who maintenances the road? He hauls in there all year, all winter, makes the road rough, and then the town has to go in there, put gravel down, and fix it. I mean, I don't see how that's fair to any of the taxpayers And I see people go down that road, dump their brush off, get sand, all kinds of other things that only certain people are allowed to do. Now, I know that that road is a right-of-way, and the only people that are supposed to be down that road are town employees, people that have to access the town pit. There should be nobody else there, no resident has access through that right-of-way other than a town employee. So people going down there and taking sand and for their own personal use should stop. There should be a gate up, the line should be marked, things should be evident. And that's kind of my stance on that.
How do you know who these people are that are going down there?
I watch
didn't wanna
them.
jump in because he was.
I watch them. I can stand there. I watch people go down that road. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
So you can see whether they're going to Mr. Connor's pit and getting sand or whether.
I can see where they go into Mr. Connor's pit and get sand. I can see where the town employees go into the town pit and get sand.
So you couldn't get a description of the vehicles?
Well, I can. I don't know if I want to rat anybody out. I mean,
Well, you pretty much are here.
well, I'm not ratting anybody out. I haven't brought anybody's name up. I mean, it's.
But, you know, we don't have cameras there, we don't have power there. There's.
Well, I mean, you should have power there, and you should own the road. I mean, that's all part of it.
And
And
we don't, and like I say, that would all be an additional cost.
well, you should.
as far
Maybe
as-
one of the costs should be you should try to offer Mr. Connors to own the road, so that we can eliminate the fact of maintenance agreement, or the fact that you could have power there, or you could actually utilize the property more. I mean, that should be something that you
What-
could.
Do you have any problem accessing that property up there?
No.
I didn't think so.
I'm not saying that he does. Okay. Anybody else who wants to go down there can't go down there. I mean, it's a
Who
select
else is
few.
going down there?
Well, obviously, people are going down and get sand and putting it in their sanders and sand in their driveways. I can't go sand my driveway.
Yeah, and we discussed that at the work session too, that what we're actually gonna do is have Mike bring some sand up to the, garage
Yeah.
and pile some there so they can go there, so they don't have to.
So
go back
residents
to
could. That would be great. That would keep them from going down there.
Yeah,
But again, you're still back to the fact that I'm almost certain that there's an encroachment onto the town property, and that those irons should be found so you know where your property lines are, and you should have setbacks. It should be a 25-foot setback, and your road should be 100 feet.
but don't forget, Jason, that New York State DEC has been up there after you complained to them, and they looked at it, and they said that they are.
They told me that-
perfectly
okay.
within their- Are you gonna interrupt me? I've let you speak, okay? So, you've complained to DEC. DEC went up there and gave them a clean bill of health, pretty much, saying they didn't do anything illegally or wrong. They said that they're allowed to move so much of the overburden, and that doesn't trigger a mining permit for New York State DEC, all right?
He told me that sand, that stockpile was from the exchange of the right-of-way. That pile of sand came from the exchange of the right-of-way, when you exchanged the right-of-way from the town.
I don't know where.
That's what Mr.
other
Williams,
than-
Scott Williams sent me an
Okay.
email
Other
and
than
explained
he-
to me that stockpile that's there
Right.
now came from the exchange of the right-of-way.
Right, so
And that he
he-
didn't need a permit for that because he was just taking soil from the right-of-way
Right,
exchange.
and that some of it would be used in the reclamation process of.
Well, you can't do that. You can't take sand from here and put it in that pit. You
Okay,
can't do
and
that.
I'm
That's a
not
reclamation
miner.
thing, so.
But all I'm saying is DEC had no issue with what.
Well, they gave me an
did.
excuse, but then
I
again,
mean, I went up and looked at it, as a supervisor. Sharon went up and looked at it. I asked Mr. Snyder if there was any issue.
you didn't see where it was all
Yeah.
stripped and stumped? That's excavating.
That 3 inches.
That's excavating. I don't care if it's with a shovel or a spoon, it's still
But
excavating.
again, I've looked at our own zoning. They tell you move a certain amount of
Yeah.
soil, then it does not require a mining permit.
Yeah.
So, again, if you wanna bring in that to me, or bring it in and I'll.
I'm bringing
send
it up to you
the
now
lawyer.
that's a
Yep.
pile of sand. It's not topsoil. It's sand. You can see it from the road. It's plain
Yep.
sand, and it's not going to go anywhere but in a truck and be sold. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, so he's got sand there in a pile that is on his property.
But outside the mining permitted area, he's not permitted to mine in that area.
According to what I read from that DEC permit, he was allowed to put that there
No, he
with
wasn't.
no issues at all.
No, the only permit he
And
has
we don't
is for
have-
the expansion.
And again, we don't have any issue because he didn't move enough dirt to make it a mining permit for the town.
Well, he did because exactly what he did is he stripped the topsoil from the sand and went up right up to the property line and stripped all the trees and everything and stumped it and started burning it. I actually caught him burning that pile of stumps last month in March during the burn ban. And I called DEC and they came and made me put it out.
I'll check into those questions. I don't see you dumping a lot of gravel on that road every spring.
Well, you just did a couple years ago. How much money is you spending gravel on that road? I mean, there was quite a bit. There was 10 guys working on it.
Technically, we don't own the land, we own the right of way.
But it's a burden on the town, and the town's burden is to maintain the
Jason,
road, because you created that burden.
No, I didn't create nothing. All I did is try to fix what you brought up the first time, saying that we had a road. Let's be honest here. You got a quabble with him up there, and you keep bringing the town into it to try to fight that for you. And you keep on bringing up issues that you think that will be town related to that individual. You've told me that you don't get along with him. I understand that. I'm not getting pulled into that. If it's something that we need to rectify, like you yourself and Heather brought to me saying that the road was not where the right of way was.
If I wouldn't have brought that to you, listen, if I wouldn't have brought that up to you, you would have never have known. You would have mined your right of way out and you wouldn't even have an access to it.
You're 100% right.
And he made money off it, and you paid to exchange a right of way which you already had access to, which didn't make any sense.
We had an access that would have went all the
prescriptive
way
easement.
down.
It's prescriptive.
Right.
You still had access.
Right.
It's been there for 50 years, longer than my lifetime.
You're gonna talk over me, but like I said, that access went all the way down through a wet area that George Seymour on him and the other individual had a handshake on to put the road straight in. The other one was, he sunk his trucks all the time. So that right away went down all the way along.
That road has been
the
there ever
edge of
since
the-
I was a child.
Wait a
I rode
minute.
that on a four-wheeler, so that road has never changed. It's
All I
always
can
been
tell
that
you
way.
is what I was told.
I know, I've lived there. I've lived here 40 years.
Just
My
telling you
whole
what I
life
was
I've lived
told.
here.
I'm not here to argue with it. All I'm telling you is that right away went all the way down the side of his pit, all the way across the back, and then back into. Am I not correct? Which was. And it was right alongside a steep bank
That pit
a
was-
truck could have went in.
Was about this big when I was a kid. That road has always been there.
Yep. So
And
this
again,
is
my
a much
problem now
safer
is-
road,
Mike,
and it's
do
straight.
you know where
into
the
your
property
pit.
corners are? Have you seen the two irons that are there with stakes and?
I would I never seen them.
Okay.
I've never.
Because I believe that
I've
they've
never
been
had any
disturbed.
reason to walk it. I mean, I'm willing, but
I'd love to walk it with you,
I've
but I'm
never-
not allowed over there.
you
So
know,
they throw a fit every
2008.
time I step over there. So
2008, he said, Mr. Pestershun
I have the map right here.
surveyed it. Well, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't. I mean, at that time, I wasn't highway superintendent.
Right, but I mean, it's something that should be evident. You should be marked and put fence posts near it, and nobody should be near it because he's supposed to literally be 25 feet away from that line. Because there's not supposed to be any excavating within 25 feet of that, because that's what you guys signed off to.
I really don't know if he is.
I
or
didn't
not.
sign up to that, but some.
Well, you did, because
No.
it was 100 feet until you said that you could only be 25.
No, you're wrong. So now you're lying because the original agreement that the previous supervisor signed off on was 25 feet. Okay, I never signed off on any of that. Period.
Well,
It
there
was already there.
DEC had sent you a list of paperwork,
Right, but it
and
was already
you said it
agreed
was
upon.
okay to go with their 25-foot setback instead of the 100
The
feet.
DEC put advertisement in the paper for public discussion, which they only received one complaint.
It was
on.
only in there for a week, too.
And they received one complaint
Yeah, me. And nothing's been done yet.
because of the same issues. Like I said, the pins. If
Because
this-
we have a
if this
lack of
board
zoning
wants
enforcement
to-
in this town, a lack of zoning
If
enforcement.
this board wants to have that surveyed, they will. I've talked to Mr. Schneider.
The town
No issue.
should not be paying any money to have that surveyed when they're not the ones that disturbed anything. That's a legal issue, and you have the right to sue somebody to have them replace those property corners if they've been disturbed.
Yep.
So, that's
Jason,
where I would have.
Jason, referring to the map you have,
Yep.
I know you're a surveyor, so
Yeah, yeah.
those pins that are they indicated on the map
Yep,
and
yes,
are
sir.
they sealed? Is there
They're-
a cap on them
They're re-rod in the ground, 4 foot long with,
with a surveyor
aluminum
stamp
cap.
on it?
Yep, yes, sir. With a Mark Petroshoon aluminum cap.
With, okay.
Yep.
That means, as you know, means a lot.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, and that, somebody paid money for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the
Are
town,
they
Did you
at
say
grade?
two of them?
Yeah.
Are they
Jason,
at
did
grade
you ever
or are
ask
they-
Mr. Petroshoon if he knows where they are? Maybe he
I don't
can-
talk to Mr. Petroshoon. I've never really met with him.
No,
You
I
can
don't
see,
understand what you're saying, I just don't.
these dark circles are indicated here as set number 5 reference, you know, re-rod, reinforced re-rod with aluminum cap.
And
There's one here, and there's one here, and you can see here's your gate.
And we're gonna get 4 sets.
You can see how much more over there that is. I mean, this is a scale at 200 feet to an inch, so you're probably 20, 30 feet. And then there should be a re-rod here, but when he changed all this road over here, I think he took that out. That's where I was watching, and I tried to say something to people, but nobody wants to listen. And then this one is on the property line between Mrs. Akey, Debbie Akey over here, and that's where that one should be. So,
I,
like I say, I
Are the
think,
pins set to grade or
I have no idea.
he doesn't
Mr.
say?
Petroshoon didn't get involved with
now,
it. This is more
did
for,
you say 2 pins he put in or all
there's
4?
2. No,
Why wouldn't he put 4 in?
because
Not to be.
your property kind of goes along a fence and there's lots of multiple jogs, and then it goes along the kind of swampy,
Yeah, and then it's a
Riley Grove.
wicked drop off.
and that's along his steep bank back through. Because that steep bank is what Harold said, okay, here's a handshake, 25 feet, we're good. And he made this bank like this, and that's
actually,
ridiculous.
he actually signed.
Yeah, but that piece of paperwork I don't think would hold up in a court of law.
Would, because I went
It's just-
to the lawyer with it, and they said they've already signed off on it, you cannot.
Yeah, but just because the supervisor signed off without approval, I don't know how that would hold up. so.
Well, what it would do is go to court.
I mean, that's not up
And
to
it
me,
would-
it's not my property, it's your property, and I'm just trying to bring to light the situation.
Understood.
And
I don't know if I've missed anything, I know you
Well,
talked
and
about the
back to the-
gravel, I know you talked about the pins.
And back to the right of way, I know you were talking about putting a septic tank in the right of way, that I would just totally avoid, because a right of way is for access, ingress and egress, so you'll be driving vehicles on it. And if you have somebody put a septic there, you're just gonna end up crushing it and creating problems. If you want to have somebody put a septic on this right of way, I'm talking about this other property we're
No.
talking about, I don't know where it is or whatever, I'm just trying to give you
Yeah,
some
you'd have
advice.
to actually.
Sell the guy,
alleviate-
if you're not using the road, sell it to him.
That's.
Make some money off it, give him the septic.
I'm 100% with you. if
But
that's
don't
what
let
we're
him put a septic in your right of way, because it's just gonna create problems in the future.
Jerry said in the work session we weren't gonna do that anyway.
Well,
So-
we're waiting
Well, we all like
for
voter.
everybody.
Right, well, you know, you guys were up in the air on it, but I'm just trying to
Yeah.
enlighten you on the situation that that's just totally a bad idea.
Yeah, which is what the attorney said when we
Right.
talked to him about it, but I still had to bring it to the board so that the board.
And again,
was
the
aware.
town shouldn't be paying for any of that. If somebody wants to do that, then they take the initiative, they hire a surveyor, they get the easement, they get the property, make them,
Yeah,
do it.
they're the only ones that are gaining on it. We have nothing to gain on it. We're just giving them. I
Exactly.
agree on you with Jason 100%.
Yeah.
Did I answer all your questions?
I just want to vent a little bit and just kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on over there. I just don't,
Yeah.
it's just an ongoing thing that just needs to stop, so.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, the time thing on Sundays, I'm so sick of working on Sundays and hearing the beep, beep, beep over there, so.
Right.
I mean, if it's a
Yeah.
town in there plowing the roads, I don't care. I mean, that doesn't bother me, but when I hear the trucks hauling at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's a little early for me.
Right. And,
So.
Yeah,
I
just
know
touching-
Mike, I know that, Bill's been out there a couple times. on complaints.
Multiple times, and there's not been any reoccurrence or any repercussions to his actions.
Well, I know that he told me.
So
the
when there's
sign-
no repercussions to your actions,
No,
what
I know
is-
the signs were.
what is your
put up
punishment? I mean, there's no punishment if you don't.
there, And they had to be.
Just quickly touching upon the code enforcement. Didn't we come up with a complaint form?
And he's more than willing to.
Are
fill
you
one
aware
out.
of that?
No,
We
Mr.
now
McCall
have-
told me he wanted me to write him a letter.
A complaint form.
No,
It's
he
a
wanted me to write him a
standard
letter, and
form.
I'm not wasting my time writing you a
That
letter if
you can
nothing's gonna
use.
happen.
You want me to get copies of it? They're right outside the front end.
Thank you very much, that'd be
Yeah, I
great.
put them at the
And
festival probably, I don't know, a
and
month
then
ago, 2
there's a
months ago.
record of the complaint.
Well, it serves doubly because then they can be used as an affidavit in court. That we actually
Okay.
had that complaint.
Sure, appreciate it.
It gives the code enforcement officer a little bit more teeth when he goes.
Well,
in front
he
of the
makes
judge.
enough money, I think he should be here doing his job. I mean, 1 day a week for 4 hours is not enough for what he does. And plus, he's a conflict of interest being in 2 separate towns.
Okay, Jason, but because you.
Well, when that
you-
position
you-
comes up for a re-election, I'll be considering it.
Okay. But what what you know is the posted 4 hours, but you don't have any idea how much time he's out and about all week long and all month long. Because again, you're not gonna follow him around. But I can tell you that when I'm down here, he's in
It's
and
too
out
much to
here
take care
all
of.
week long.
Town of Schuyler Falls and the town of Los Sable. That's too much for one person to try to enforce those two towns at the same time.
But again,
If he
Jason,
just
that-
did one,
that's
that's more like it.
That's an opinion by you, so
Jason, it's
I
an
respect it, but.
It's an appointed position. It's not elected.
Well, I wish it was, because it should be, and he should be here. He should be at these meetings to hear the people and what they have to say. Because you did bring up some of his stuff, and he is not here to defend himself. So, he should be here.
Okay.
The
Albert,
meeting on the 17th, I think it's to talk about what we've been discussing all along. Possible changes to help the water system.
yeah, there's two,
Okay, that's why I just want to make sure.
two options.
Then the other question I have is, according to there's 47 houses on that road,
Yes.
and we pay the taxes on our water system based on our assessed value. There's not 47 lots on the road. Is that empty lot that was bought by an individual being taxed accordingly for, even though there's no house there, it has an assessed value for the lot? Is he paying a portion of our water system? Because if not, house ain't built for another 5, 10 years. Whoever buys it has a huge chunk of their water system paid for it, even though lot's been owned for this whole time frame.
It's my understanding, and
I don't know, that's what I was asking,
Yeah.
if all of them
it's
are.
my understanding that, the ad valorem rate that is charged is on the assessed value.
But it's
and
every
then-
lot on that street.
That would be part of the assessed value
Okay,
as the ad valorem rate. Then the usage would, Macy Lane
Correct.
would go by meter
right.
at Macy
Because even
Lane.
though there's no house there yet, that
Right.
lot should still be paying as part of that.
The assessed
Water
value,
district.
whatever the vacant lot's worth, it
Yeah.
may not be 7
Right, it's not
grand
very
or
much,
whatever,
but
it's not-
it's a little bit.
No, I agree.
Even though everyone's using the same amount of water, not the same amount, but basically we're getting the same water, we're using basically the same, but you pay, the front, people on the front street, their assessments was way less than the back side of the street, and we're paying a heck of a lot more than the front street, even though it's same water. But it's New York State, it doesn't make any sense, but
Well,
I know it ain't you.
You could, I don't know, I say that, I mean, you could change it to EDUs, individual housing units, and then everybody would be equalized and not done by ad valorem rate. You would be a EDU and then a, usage fee for whatever your meter says. That's something that would have to be, brought up and.
Why wasn't
changed.
any of this brought up when we were getting these stuff straight to get a water system in there so we would have water that the town, not you, the town board did nothing to help us to get water in there. They could have brought that up. I'm sure the people don't mind paying equal amounts, but I know the guy in the front street, he just bought the house way less than what mine's assessed at, and he's paying way less.
Yeah, ad valorem rate is based upon, is it 1.6% of it's either 1.6 or 1.7. I shouldn't throw numbers out there that I don't have in front of
Well,
me.
it's
I
ad
know it's
valorem
something
plus they're paying for their bond.
and they're paying for their bond on top, correct.
And it's unfortunate that there's only just 47 houses, because that's why it's so much.
But 47 houses or
47,
lots?
the lots that they have to pay for both of the taxes as
Right.
well.
And she's right, she's talking about the debt service. You have a debt service on
Yeah, we had to do our own bond, so we had water system, because he was getting ready to just abandon it, so we were stuck with it with no answers.
Alright. The two, I think you'll be happy personally.
Okay.
You'll personally be happy with the second
Well, I'll be here for
proposal,
that one,
but,
I'll make sure the majority of people are too, because I'll make sure they know about it.
yeah. It's the first time that we've been able to help you with
It's
previous.
been a few months.
Oh, I've been working on it more than that. You know that.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
been working on it a long
17,
time.
I know.
But like I said, this is the first time we've been able to actually have funding that we could tap into, that we didn't have to pay back to the general fund. Remember we talked about that 12-month
Mhm.
period if we we'd have to make sure we floated a bond and paid it back or whatever, and you guys really didn't want to pay any more than what you paid out already. So it's a good opportunity. Hopefully it goes through. We'll have, I can't imagine it wouldn't, but we'll have the public informational meeting with it, and we'll show both options.
There's only one other thing. My mother-in-law was still asking me if you heard anything. The road right where a House of Pine used to be, that goes back in there. I can't think of the name of it offhand.
Yeah, that's,
Birchwood, no.
Birchwood.
Birchwood.
The one
Yeah.
you said was some legal process that's been
Yeah.
going on for years. Well, the ridiculous amount of cats are getting ridiculous over there at night. You can hear them. Because the windows are busted out of the back side of the house. There's a tree falling down on the porch and the pool that was there. There's 2 big dead trees in the backyard that are getting ready to fall over. But you can hear the cats out there like crazy at night. And it's never mowed last year, period.
right,
Anything.
right. And that one is in the legal system. Up here, I can't discuss what happened in court or what didn't happen in court and how many times they had schedules, but it's in the system. And
Because you can hear
they're
the
working.
cats at night screaming at each other.
Yeah,
and I know the back windows are open, because when I went around the fence that we put up so we didn't have to look at it, you can see the windows are open.
Right.
And they've been that way for a year or two, couple of years now.
That's something Bill can help you with, though, if you want to talk with Bill
Yeah,
about
he's
that,
gotta-
because that's unsafe structure.
Okay.
There you go, grab a complaint form.
Yep, I'll get one
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Right.
oh yeah, I will, because she's by herself and she thought it was a kid out there crying one night. You know the way cats can be.
Well,
Those
she didn't
sounds
do
they
anything
make.
about the cat.
Especially when
Yeah. No, we just got the other one cleaned up the other day, and there were 24 depressed properties that we were looking at trying to get. Not a lot was done for a lot of years, but we're working on them, and
All right.
I'm
And this
telling
is
you-
just, not to cut you off, this gets it just dropped off here at the town hall?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yep, and then Bill will take it, and then he can do what he has to do. But it helps his job, because he has an affidavit, so to speak,
Yeah,
handwritten by somebody of complaint.
all right.
So yeah, that's why we did that.
How about the animal control officer? Would he get involved in this?
Not
No.
cats.
No, okay.
No cats.
BB gun will.
Nothing, no, nothing in New
No,
York State. with
he's a
cats.
dog control officer, not an animal control
Oh,
officer.
okay, some are animal.
Yeah,
control.
that's pretty explicit. We don't have, if we were to hire an animal control officer, then you'd have to be a whole nother line of certifications.
All right. That's all I got.
Alright, anybody else? Yes, go
On
on.
the thing we were talking about with the change of electric supplier,
Yeah,
a couple of years ago, an outfit came around promising you're gonna save big money. Everybody remember when they sort of, and the rate was so low, we jumped on it. What we didn't know though is, it was actually one of those paper agencies. They didn't actually generate electricity. They bought it wholesale and resold it to people. And that was fine. The rate per kilowatt hour was cheaper, but NYSEG charged a much higher transmission rate, which ended up being more out of your pocket. So the wife's like, get out of that and go back. So you might want to look into that before you consider changing it.
right, but this, again, is all very good concerns. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad people are, you know, interested in making sure that their input is heard and that they're, you know, we're doing the best we can for them. This is, no, they're not carry, they're not, you know what I'm saying? They're, the way it was explained at the meeting, all it does is you're buying solar rather than buying from, you know,
Oh, I
a
understand
grid
the
on
solar
coal
part of it,
or
yeah.
fuel oil or whatever else that they're using to produce power with right now. You're locking yourself in to buy that, our electricity off of solar. From what I understand, it doesn't change NYSEG, period. Okay?
I thought you said something about, he suggested maybe you switch supplier, because if that was the case, it might have been bad.
Yeah, that supplier that he was talking about wasn't NYSEG.
Oh, okay.
You know, that was another one that was, like you just mentioned, it wasn't the one you
Yeah,
mentioned,
the
but
paper
it's
agencies.
another one that was mentioned that everybody saved a little bit at a time, and the ones that first got in saved more, so kind of thing. But anyways.
Now, there was a question, the thing about going over the 2% cap. Now, I understand the part where it won't be anything out of anybody's pocket, but if we have to do that, does that get us retaliated from the state or anything if we do go over it?
No, we're just obligated that if we're not gonna meet the 2% tax cap, that we pass a local law saying that we are going to exceed the local tax cap. And, we'll be able to justify it with no problem at all with what we're trying to do.
Most municipalities pass a
Anyways,
resolution to exceed it, but
just in case.
just in case, but most of the times they don't.
But we haven't did it the last couple of years because I've tried to stay under budget, under that 2%. But it's unfortunate that, school districts can do special projects
You get
and
away
it
with
doesn't add into their 2%. Everything we do here adds into our budget, which is subject to that 2% tax cap from the previous year. So in order to add any money to that budget, I mean, like we did with, just for instance, what we did for Mike this year, we gave him an extra $50,000 in the highway to start getting some stuff upgraded down there. We ended up having to take it out of and reduce the general fund tax down to 37 cents last year because of that little 50,000. So if we're looking at taking a couple $100,000 out to do some major improvements, it's definitely gonna put us over the 2% tax cap. Because we worked for 4 days to figure that out, to get the numbers to go right. So yeah, there's a lot that plays into it. It's like a chess match, but I just want everybody to be aware. Hopefully with the general fund and the highway fund, they stay the same, but I can't promise anybody that, and I don't think anybody on this board would, with what the inflation rates are and how things are going, because everything is costing more right now. 7 to 8%, depending on who you're talking to. So we may have small increases, but we're the second lowest tax town in Clinton County. We're the 5th largest town in Clinton County, and there's only one town that has a lower tax rate than us, and that's because they have a bunch of windmills that they're getting revenues back on. But we try to do the best we can to keep everything low. All right. Is that it? Then I will make the motion to go into executive session. We can resolve that other issue.
This is to discuss a personnel issue, not a legal issue?
Yeah. Well, it could be either.
Well, I have
Could
to
be
put it
both.
down for the minutes.
It's definitely to discuss the personnel, and then we'll see what it is from there.
Second?
Where did you get at?
All in favor?
Nothing new, right?
Do we have one of those of yours?
Yeah, not supposed to. Can't fly zones. I got the airport across the road.
I think I only got the one.
I don't have an airstrip. Where the airstrip was out of the county. Includes the air base and stuff. I thought about that.
I'll be done with it now.
I already know.